Hello, welcome to the place on the internet that I talk about comic books. I am broadcasting from a hotel in Los Angeles where I am on my honeymoon, I guess. My new wife would probably object to me calling it that. We are on a trip together post wedding. Thank you to everybody who has been subscribing while I have not been posting. Appreciate everyone's patience. So, today I wanted to talk about a serious topic if I could. Everybody's covering this in some capacity or another, and I just wanted to, I don't know, I don't want to contribute. There's so much noise about it, but at the same time I just feel it's not important at all that you agree with me. There's just a couple air clearing sort of necessities right now. And this is regarding the suicide of Ed Piskor, right? So for people that don't know, somebody came out and said, I was 17 and Ed was in my DMs. He was being inappropriate. He's a creep. People piled on Ed. Another woman came out. She said, I felt mistreated by him. And that whenever you have a second accuser, you're kind of done. People don't care if the first allegation is true at that point, that it's seen as an absolute cosign of reality, that you are whatever the first person said you were, even if it turns out later that one or both accusers is non-credible. So I guess we'll just play it safe and tell you how I feel so you can know if you want to click off or not. I don't think that Ed was behaving appropriately regarding the first accusation. However, calling the dude a pedophile is wrong. It is inappropriate, and that was a dude that, in my view, we can't know the reality of the situation because we can't travel in the past, nor can we see somebody's soul. But it struck me as a lonely guy who was enjoying the attention from a person who, in at least his mind, admired him. Would he have followed through on the, hey, you can stay at my place? I don't know. Maybe Ed didn't know. He, in his suicide note, talks about how it was COVID, lonely time. He was communicating through the internet. It's all very plausible to me. Doesn't mean it was appropriate. But in my view, there are things that are wrong that you can't apologize for, and then there's things that are wrong that you can. You may disagree, but I think that this one is one of the ones that he could have merely apologized for, said, I will understand if nobody wants to fuck with me after this, but I know what I did was inappropriate, and I'm sorry for that. I will apologize to the relevant parties, which is a thing that we're going to come back to later. But keep it pushing. However, the second accusation, which Ed, in his suicide note, says is just false. Now, does he have a reason to defend himself? Yeah, of course. He says I have no reason to lie, but everybody's always got a reason to lie. She has a reason to lie. Everyone has a reason to lie. It's a foolish statement to say, why would I lie? There's people who are just unwell. There's people who have motivations we can't understand. So Ed saying that you could be lying still, even from beyond the grave. That said, he does bring up a compelling point, which is that the second person's intention was very clearly reputation destruction because she tacked on a bunch of, frankly, irrelevant additional details, what you might call added charges. But it's rather easy to become skeptical of somebody's claims when they're tacking in, the amount of money that you make or things that seem quite minor by comparison to the primary accusations. But I wasn't there. I don't know the truth about any of these things. I do know that a lot of people jumped on Ed online. Sorry, everybody. Many of you know this. If you clicked on this, you probably know this. But if you're new, Ed was, some people would say bullied, other people would say held to account, and was just shamed online. mostly in the form of poking fun at him, at ridiculing him. And this is where I want to get to. Regardless of how you think something should be handled, there is just material reality that can't be denied. Facts, right? As they are. And here's one. The people who shamed Ed don't care about these alleged victims on any level. I mean, that's just very obvious from the fact that they did not handle this in a way that you handle actual victims of a thing. If you felt that either of these people was victims and you read their statements on a platform, you would not then make light of the situation on that platform and also claim to care. It's just not the behavior of somebody who cares. These women were reading these responses from Ed's peers, who, let's also say a true thing, were motivated by professional jealousy. That sounds like a subjective point of view. It's not. If you were at all in that scene of kind of direct market comic book creators who didn't understand Ed's success, you know that they were dripping with envy. It was really ugly. There was a very concerted effort to destroy Ed's career before this. There was private Discord servers that were sharing DMs that Ed had sent, mostly strangers, but women who were certainly of age, artists, and they were perhaps thirsty or you could say desperate, I guess, whatever, to make a connection, but they were not inappropriate per se, and certainly they're adults. It's okay to slide into somebody's DM, shoot your shot, and get rejected. That's not even exactly what happened. It was just he was what the he's just DM sliding. Really, it's how most people in 2024 establish romantic connections. Nothing wrong with it, except people didn't like Ed. And one of the saddest realizations I've had as an adult is that all your work does not matter. All your personal efforts and all your everything that you put into this world does not matter if people don't like you. They at worst they will try to harm you, and at best they will look the other way while others try to harm you. It's just a sad fact of life. And it doesn't mean you do everything right? Again, I don't know Ed's intentions, certainly. Perhaps he's as foul a fuck as ever lived. I don't know. But I do know that if people liked him, this would have gone differently. If people weren't jealous of him, it would have gone differently. Sad. Now, regarding the people that attacked him, here's the other thing that is going to sound subjective, but is fact, because you can just look at it and say, yeah, it's not how serious people conduct themselves. Shaming someone online is not a solution to any problem on earth, unless your problem is them being alive, in which case you might get your wish, as apparently some people did in Pisscore's case, and he took his life. But there's not a therapist on this planet, not a mental health professional on this fucking planet, who would ever advise you to solve an interpersonal problem or a behavioral issue with an individual through mass shame. The idea that you thought that was the righteous or advisable thing to do is not at all believable. Everybody who came at Ed was an adult. They've had enough time on this planet to know that is not what you do. If you're serious, if you want somebody to move into their parents' basement, develop a drinking problem, if you want them to kill themselves, then you did the right thing. If you wanted somebody to change their behavior and reintegrate into a community of some type, then no one is believing that you thought that was the move. It's It defies all reason. It's fucking stupid. So nobody's convinced I mean, certainly your righteousness is in question, right? To anybody who's shamed Ed. Again, also they did it on platforms that his accusers, alleged victims, and I have to say alleged, not to protect myself, but because Ed says, hey, I was misrepresented in the first case and I was flatly lied about in the second. That means that you now have to explore this as a claim and a counterclaim. You have to be adults about these things. I know that when it comes to accusations from women, particularly in industries where maybe they feel marginalized or perhaps they are marginalized in fact, I know that a great many people think that it is the safe thing to do or the righteous thing to do is to believe all women, as Me Too. That sort of thing is flipped a bit. There's high-profile lies, and as I said, everybody has a motivation to lie. Well, you don't always understand them. Sometimes it's somebody is just really unwell, right? Sometimes it's personal grievance. Sometimes it's not a lie in fact, but it's a misunderstanding of a circumstance put through several filters of years or personal trauma that has nothing to do with that incident. There's a lot of reasons that somebody could say a thing that is not true, and you need to be honest about that. And you also, again, going back to the mental health professional, talk to, again, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, talk to a fucking social worker. They will tell you, you are not to confirm a delusion. It is desperately unsafe. So when you see somebody make an allegation, it is ill-advised. It is the wrong thing to do for them. Please understand. I'm not talking about some legal shit or you got to respect Ed. Maybe you don't. Maybe you fucking think all men are snakes. It's fine. But regardless of that, just go talk to a social worker. They will tell you. You cannot confirm a delusion, meaning you have to assume that the person saying a thing is as open to scrutiny as anything else in this world. And if you say, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you, if you repeat the allegation that person makes, you are essentially locking them into a delusion. You're reinforcing that delusion, and you are putting them in peril. This is basic shit that really strikes me as odd that so many of you seem to love therapy. So many of you are huge believers in the mental health field. And for some reason, you got a blind spot for this. We get these social media established and reinforced ideas about how to conduct ourselves in very difficult, tricky situations, such as claim, counterclaim on a serious matter. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to not know what you don't know. But so many people here are claiming to be defenders of, I guess, marginalized people, in this case, women, in the industry. But this was not the way to help those women. I mean, now that must be clear, but even at the time it was quite clear. I mean, frankly, some of you dove into this with such glee, and you were so fucking glib about the whole thing, that you never seemed terribly serious at all, right? You never seemed like this was about anything other than the fact that Ed was annoying, and you thought Ed was superior, that he had an attitude problem, he was a snob, he looked down on your work, and he was successful at a thing that didn't make any fucking sense to you. So you were, in some ways, you wanted this to be true. And again, maybe it is. I wasn't there. But I don't want it to be true. I don't want bad behavior to be the thing. But it feels like for many of you, it would confirm a narrative that you hold close to your heart, that if somebody's an asshole, they're also a creep. Or if somebody is successful on work that you think is inferior, that they don't deserve shit, that they should have it stripped away from them because they're a fucking scumbag. That's just not that's not real, right? That's something you're projecting. Now, we're at this crossroads where a great many people are doubling down, saying, hey, I'm sorry that Ed took his life, but, I had to call this out because that's my responsibility as a member of this community. But this is another lie. This is another untruth, I guess you could say. You didn't have to do a fucking thing. Because you must have known what you were doing would have no effect except for potentially what happened. Nobody gets better through you, the 50th person, adding to a pylon. You're not protecting anybody with that. You're not reconciling anything. Nothing is being fixed. So when you say, I had to call it out, who are you? What an absurd and insane thing to say. I had to. My conscience compelled me. No, it didn't. You're full of shit. You saw a pylon. There's something in your nature that made you contribute to that pylon. You knew it wouldn't do anything positive. It's very simple and clear. So, I'm not telling you how to conduct yourself now. I think that there must be a lot of community pressure for you within certain circles to not apologize. I get it. And certainly don't need to apologize to me. But I think that you do need to come to terms a little bit with what happened. I don't believe you killed a man. I think that Ed had choices, and he chose the one I wouldn't choose. But what you did was not well-intentioned. And you do have to, when I say live with that, I'm not trying to shame you now. I'm just saying you have to come to terms with that and work through it. And I hope we don't see this shit again. This goes the other way, by the way. As I understand it, Ed's accusers, the people that dogpiled Ed are all being attacked online now. Don't do that shit. I understand that, reprisal is just a human instinct. But so is dogpiling. And neither is good. There's a lot of human instincts you got to reject on the daily. And this would be one of them. So, I think this is probably the only video I'll ever make on this subject. Or at least I hope. I wish peace for Ed's family. And I wish peace for his accusers and the people who dogpiled him too. We got to move past this. And for me, and I'm not the one that was hurt on either side, but for me, that means not doing it again. That's what that is. That's moving forward. That's healing in whatever way we can. Thank you for watching. I know it's a sensitive subject.